My name is Tyler Rochwerg. I'm an associate brand manager at Johnson & Johnson Canada, or J&J. We have a few businesses in Canada, but I work at our consumer business. So those are the brands that people know and love, like Tylenol, Band-Aid, Polysporin, and I'm currently working on the Nicorette and Nicoderm businesses to help Canadians quit smoking. So I work as an associate brand manager, and basically what that means is that I'm on the team that manages the brand for all of Canada. So we're in charge of innovation, in charge of, driving business results, managing the budget, the P&L, the profit and loss statement, as well as working cross-functionally with agencies externally or regulatory, legal, sales internally. So we are the central point for the brands. Before Nicorette and Nicoderm, I've also had the chance to work on Listerine, which was a lot of fun for about a year and a half. As well, I did an internship here while I was still studying in school on the Band-Aid brand. I would say at J&J as an ABM, there's not really any typical day. One of the things I love about the role is that you're always doing something different. So one day I could be spending my entire day on artwork. The next I can be spending my entire day on forecasting a new business opportunity in, say British Columbia, working with the government there to sell our products. So there's so much variety in the day. But the constant that goes through it all would be working cross-functionally and in teams. No matter what I'm trying to achieve, I'm always working with others, whether it's for forecasting, working with our new analytics department, that specializes in Excel and forecasting and models, or if I'm working on artwork, I'm going to be working very closely with my agencies and legal and regulatory teams to make sure that everything we're doing is compliant and everything we're doing meets our brand standards. Working in a cross-functional team is really exciting to me because I enjoy working with other people, and we're doing that a lot. So as an ABM, we rely on our cross-functional partners to help us get our work done. So nothing can go to market, nothing can be approved unless the legal teams check that it's compliant with Canada's laws. Recently, the legal team's been very involved in terms of anti-spam laws, which Canada has some of the tightest anti-spam laws in the world. So it's changed the way that we communicate with consumers. Data privacy is very important to us. So we're constantly working with legal on things like that. With regulatory, the regulatory person that we work with works on more so the government regulations with Health Canada. So a lot of the products we have at J&J here are OTC products, or over-the-counter drugs. So things like Tylenol, Motrin, Benadryl, Benylin, Reactin, or Zyrtec in the States. So these products are heavily regulated in terms of who you can sell them to, what times they can be sold in stores, and what you're allowed to say about them. So regulatory is a really important part of the business because not only do they lay the groundwork of this is what you can do and this is what's compliant, but regulatory is a key partner in unlocking growth for us through new claims. So in my role, I work with regulatory a lot to kind of develop new claims using the data that we have. So we'll be looking at scientific studies about smoking and smoking products that are happening around the world. And we'll also be developing our own studies at a global level through Johnson & Johnson that we can then unlock new claims through. So right now we're working on a new claim for our Quick Mist product, which is a proprietary Nicorette spray that we're hoping to bring to market. But it's a very long, I would say 6 months to 1 year process of working with regulatory and working with the government to make that happen. I would say that data plays a huge role in what we do as an ABM and as marketers, because as things become more and more digital, there's more and more data available, so much so that it could get overwhelming at times. Analysis paralysis is very possible and happens sometimes. We always try, whenever we're making a recommendation or a business decision, to always ground it in data. Now, we can get data from a million places. We have data from our own properties, like our websites. We have an app that we get data from. And I can tell you every single time a consumer pushed a single button and how long they stayed in the app at an aggregate level. So if you're looking for data on anything, really, we can get it. The data that we rely most often on would be the data that we get from companies like Nielsen, who has data, scanning data from every retail store in the country of what product was scanned, what price was it scanned at, was it on sale, and all the competitive data. So we constantly leverage Nielsen data to find insights, to shape recommendations, to look at our competition, and we use that to inform our business strategy. So we recently completed 2017 planning on the brand, and everything we do has like a Nielsen fact, kind of as an insight to shape why we're doing what we're doing. Whether it's this competitor is growing and they're stealing our share, or if it's like our distribution at this retailer is lower than it should be, we need to work with our sales teams to make that better. The reality is, unless I can track a single marketing tactic or strategy to a sales increase, I can't measure ROI, and it's very hard to connect those two. So the way that we do it most often would be through using our scanning data from Nielsen. However, as marketers, we want to always be talking to consumers and always be doing so many things. So it's almost impossible to isolate, okay, you had a sales increase in this week of this month. What was it driven by? Most often we can say it was driven by a sale or a new product coming in or a competitor going off sale or anything like that. But it's very hard to connect our in-store results to our out-of-store media. And so we often spend a lot of money on studies with Nielsen that can measure these things. Now, how accurate are they? I really don't know. And oftentimes I'm very skeptical of some of the results. There was just a study in the US released that said that print has the highest ROI of any media. I find that hard to believe. Print is one of the mediums where, you know, you flip the page and you look at it for a second versus some digital mediums where you're engaging with a video or a website for maybe 2 to 3 minutes. So I find it hard to believe that, you know, print is the highest ROI. But we rely on studies like this because there's no other way to do it. Where we can really start to get into real raw ROI of digital would be when we have eCommerce. Right now, J&J has e-commerce on, you know, the big pure play e-com players like Amazon or well.ca. We also have e-commerce on walmart.ca, but we currently don't have any direct to consumer e-commerce as a company. If we were to ever go there, which I assume we will, given in the US they already have a few websites up, then you can really start tracking ROI. If you send out an e-blast, like directly look at the sales increase in the minute that you sent it out. You do banner ads. Are they driving anybody to your website? Are they purchasing? Right now we run banner ads and I feel like we're speaking into an abyss sometimes. So a lot of businesses have cut back in banners and switched to tactics that we've seen more engagement with, like digital video. As marketers, we want to talk to people so that they're always thinking about us. But with digital, it really allows us to talk to people at the moments that matter. So you want to hit the consumer with the right message at the right time, and the right person, really, because there's a million people, and how do I find the people that just will use my product? So I think it's a really interesting point with smoking, for example, because the amount of Canadians who are looking to quit smoking, you know, is less than 10%. Smoking is declining in popularity, but we've actually seen more people who want to quit as a percentage. So how do we find those people? We've traditionally run TV advertising, and we've seen results come from TV advertising, but there's a significant amount of waste that I assume comes with that when you're working on a brand that targets such a niche consumer. So we've been really focusing on looking at other ways that we can reach them in targeted ways. So even in TV, can we be more targeted? And the answer is yes, because you can target your TV buy by certain times of day and certain channels that you know consumers are more likely to be watching. So our media partners provide that data for us. But I'm most excited about the opportunities in digital. So I'm working on a sampling program right now that's so highly targeted to the point of I have 40,000 Canadians who have raised their hand and said, I would like to quit smoking in the next 6 months. I can then take those people's emails and addresses, I can send them product in the mail, I can follow up with a digital e-blast that asks them how they like the product. I'll ask them to rate and review the product, driving them to the website. I'll incentivize that behavior with a coupon. So in digital, I can get really targeted and speak to people that I know want to be spoken to. Digital versus traditional media is always a hot topic. Right now, I think our split on a bunch of brands is probably, and this could be wrong, but I believe it's hovering at about 70% traditional, 30% digital. And I think across the industry, that's probably what you'll see. It's probably that we're a little slightly behind. But it's always a conversation of like, what's that balance? One of the reasons people aren't leaning heavier into digital is because they don't have the proven track record of driving results through digital. But of course they don't, because it's new. And so there's like a fear almost from leadership oftentimes, and this isn't a J&J thing, I think this is an industry-wide thing of, how far can we go into digital? Like at some point, traditional advertising is going to be that 30%, it's going to be 20%. Because consumers are spending so much more time in digital, we have to continue to evolve there. Over time at J&J, I've seen a shift come from the company focusing more on digital in terms of getting all the marketers up to speed with their digital IQ. We all have to know everything that's happening in digital because we have to understand how our consumers are behaving. So just last year, we did a really fun event called the J&J Digi Academy, and we had guest speakers come in. They were our professors, and we were the students. And it was a 2-day session. We had speakers from social networks, from agencies. We had thought leaders like Mitch Joel or Amber Mack come in and just talk to us about trends, about best practices. And then we would have breakout sessions where as our brand teams, we could talk and ideate and come up with, things that we could actually take away from that session and put into action. So things like that really put the spotlight on digital in the organization and ensure that the next time planning comes around, we're focusing more on digital tactics because now we know what's going on. I would say 100% of the agencies we work with are outsourced. So they're traditional agencies, digital agencies, we have a media agency, packaging agencies, and so we've always been working with external agencies. Working internally is definitely a benefit because you're more collaborative, I feel. Your agency partners would be they would have their finger on the pulse of what you're doing as a business, versus every time we work with an agency, we kind of have to brief them in on what's going on, give them all the background, and then hope that their work aligns with what we're looking for. Working with external agencies has its challenges, but also its benefits. I would say the challenges are one around cost and also around collaboration. So traditional agencies are losing business because they're traditional and people are shifting to digital, and just that model is becoming almost outdated. So they're jacking up their prices and they have lots of overhead. But at the same time, me as a brand, I have less and less budget to use, or I'm expected to use the same budget to drive greater results. So it's very tough to go to an agency and see the prices that they're coming back with. And oftentimes, and this has happened on every single brand, we'll find a different agency who can do the work for a fraction of the cost. So these are people that are new startups like 5Crowd as an example. So 2 ex-J&Jers left and started a company called 5Crowd. And 5Crowd works with freelancers all over the world. And they leverage the power of freelancers and people who are working, at their own computer in their own home to create creative for us. So things like radio commercials, print, they can do digital videos for us, and the quality is there, and it's a fraction of the cost of an agency. Where working with freelancers suffers, though, is in creative development. So they don't have creatives. They're more about execution. But we've been trying to pair up our traditional agencies with these freelancers to say, okay, you guys own the business, you know it well, you come up with the creative and strategy, and then let's pass it off to the freelancers who will then produce it. Do the traditional agencies like that? Probably not. But does it work well for us? Yes, and we've seen good results doing that. So much so that it almost becomes a mandate globally. There's a company called Hogarth out of New York and the UK that we're now working with. That's what they specialize in, is production at a lower cost and transcreation, if you will, which is all about adapting media from other markets. So there's ways in which we're trying to shift business away from big agencies to save money and leverage efficiencies. So a project that I got to work on recently was the Listerine challenge, and this is a big 6-month campaign that we did on Listerine, where we encouraged Canadians to rinse with Listerine twice a day for 2 weeks to just reverse early gum disease. It's a claim that we could say as Listerine, but our competitors of Scope and Crest couldn't say that. So it was a pretty big claim and consumers really liked it. So what we did is we built an entire 360 campaign around this claim and ran it for 6 months. In store, you would see it. On TV, we had celebrities talking about it, that they were taking the challenge. And we coupled that with a significant digital program that was all about driving that adherence and driving that routine of rinse twice a day. To do that, we had a contest, and it was a CRM platform where we incentivized people with a $20,000 prize, 2 weeks, $20,000. And what we did is we drove signups to that page using banners, using e-blasts, using TV, and got people into our program where we incentivized them and then communicated with them over a 2-week period. So that program was massive, not only just from the digital part, but also in-store it was big, and on TV it was big as well. We had a significant buy. We had a mass commercial focused on just the benefit of rinsing. We had celebrities. We had 2 celebrities in Canada, in English Canada, and then we had our first ever French celebrity, because Quebec operates as really a separate market in Canada. So she was all about speaking to the Quebec people and making them feel special, and that, you know, this resonates with me. So overall, the program was amazing, and it drove really great share results for us. I would say a challenge that we had is when we pushed start on the program, we saw a huge spike in registrations over the first week or two. I think we got about 10,000 or 7,000 registrants, and then it just plummeted. And we're trying to figure out, like, we didn't weight our media heavier in the first 2 weeks than we did in the rest of the 6 months. So what's happening? Traditionally with TV, you wouldn't even get results like this, but because it's digital, we did. And we thought, like, how can we, you know, optimize our digital media to ensure that we're getting these spikes in growth throughout the campaign? So I challenged the agencies to say, like, let's set up a task force or a weekly call where we look at digital results across all the tactics we're doing and see what's working and what's not. So I combined our internal analytics of our website with the media analytics of engagement and could see, like, okay, banners, not working so well for driving for us. The YouTube masthead drove a ton of traffic, but not the best conversion. E-blasts, on the other hand, something that we had only planned on doing 2 of, massive spikes in traffic and massive spikes in conversion as well. So what we ended up doing is reallocating investment as we went along the 6 months and said, okay, let's remove investment from banners. Let's shift it into doing more e-blasts. It worked again. Now we're saying, how can we make this even better? Let's target our e-blasts to different consumers. We did an e-blast targeted at seniors with a different product and different picture. We did one targeted at ethnic Canadians. It was in Chinese. It's a big important segment for us. And then we did a mass one again, focused at the general population. And so targeting our media was something new for us in digital that we hadn't really done in terms of tweaking as we went along. So that's something I was really proud of on that program, and how we could see the results in real time as we made changes. Because tracking, like we talked about, is so difficult oftentimes, you know, linking digital to the in-store, we set metrics for each campaign depending on what the objective is. So with the Listerine challenge, it was conversion and signups on our website. Everything that was digital should be driving towards that website. So we looked at signups, we looked at adherence, how long are people staying? Are they dropping off after a day? Or are they staying for 2 weeks and doing the full contest? With a TV campaign, we're always looking to drive sales. So we're always going to be looking at our Nielsen data. The results come in about a month and a half delayed. That's just the nature of how it works. But we're looking there to see, did we grow share versus competitors? Share and dollar sales are the two things that matter most to us as marketers, because we're a business, and as a brand, we're a business in a business, and we manage this P&L. So we need to manage our budget to drive these sales, and if we're not, there's check-ins every single month to see how are we tracking versus our plan. I think the trends that we're seeing in marketing are all trended towards digital. So one of the big trends is e-commerce. One of them I would say is personalization, and I would say another one's mobile. E-commerce first is going to be massive. As shipping costs go down, or as things like same-day shipping, same-hour shipping even, that we are seeing in the US come to Canada, I think there's huge opportunity there for a lot of our businesses. Think of yourself in the winter, you're in downtown Toronto and you have a cold. You don't want to leave your house to go to Shoppers Drug Mart and go get some medicine. Like, what if there was an Uber for getting your cold medicine? So things like that, and disruption in e-commerce and how we can grow our businesses there, I think is going to be very big. It's something we're looking at now and growing in e-commerce, but doing things like that Uber thing, I think, are an opportunity, and I think those are going to be more commonplace as we go on. The second trend I would say is personalization. So I had the opportunity with J&J to go to CES this year, which is the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. And it's really a technology show, but there's a lot of implications for marketing. And what I saw and what I took away as one of the big trends was personalization of everything. So personalization of your products even. So there was one company that unveiled a skincare machine that was like a Keurig coffee maker, but for skincare. So you would buy the pods for your skin tone, were you looking to clear acne or to moisturize or anti-aging, and you would put it in the machine and it would squirt out like your skincare product, and you would put the cream on. We've also seen companies like Mondelez, who owns Oreo, launch e-commerce initiatives where it's all about making your own Oreos. You can customize the packaging, and they even did a test at South by Southwest last year that was a 3D printer making different Oreo designs on the cookie. So things like that, as the technology becomes more popular, I think is going to be commonplace. Why can't somebody go on and customize their own bottle of Listerine online? They could say, I care about cavities, I like mint, and I also like the color red, right? And then they get shipped a bottle to their house. This stuff is far off, but it's definitely possible, and so personalization just makes sense. I think you haven't seen it yet in CPG as much because of our products. They're lower cost products, and they're very fast moving. So the tricky part is, like, can you achieve scale with an initiative like that? Where it has happened is, I would say, in technology. You have Motorola, who I'm a big fan of, that launched Moto Maker 3 years ago. And what it is, it's modular smartphones. You can design the metal, you can design the back. Do you want a wood back? Do you want a leather back? Or do you want a plastic back? What amount of storage do you want in the phone? And do you want it to say your name when it turns on? So people are customizing their phones at the point of purchase, and they love those phones even more because they made it. So I don't think it's a trend that's just going to stick with electronics. I think it's going to move into all the products we use. The third trend I would just say is mobile, and I'll just touch on it, but we traditionally think about digital as just digital, but I think we need to start thinking mobile first, because consumers are spending more than 50% of the time that they're using digital devices on their mobile devices, whether it's a tablet or a phone. And we need to start developing websites for mobile first. We need to start developing banner creative for mobile first, bigger text, less messaging. And so tracking that behavior, that's happening now. And marketers need to adjust their campaigns to really work for mobile. So outside of J&J, I always want to have something going on. So I have a huge passion for technology and just anything digital. Like I'm a geek. I'm like very techie. So I went to CES one year just on my own dollar because it's like Disney World for geeks. So I went and it was awesome. But I've been working more in the past few years as an influencer. As influencer marketing has become bigger and bigger, I, in my spare time, work as an influencer with companies like Samsung, Rogers, which is the biggest Canadian carrier, as well as Motorola, which is one of my favorite brands. And I've been lucky enough to have been chosen as one of like the first 50 influencers for Motorola in North America. And this has unlocked just a bunch of exciting experiences. Not only do I often get phones in the mail when they're coming out, but just 2 weeks ago, I got invited to go, and I went to San Francisco with Motorola to see them unveil their brand new phone called the Moto Z. And Ashton Kutcher was there. And you would think like, oh, this is for investors and the press. And it was, but the press had like the seats and like the nosebleeds. The investors were at the back and the fans were the front row. So here we are. I was in the third row in the stadium seeing like the CEO of Lenovo, who owns Motorola, speak, and Ashton Kutcher. And it was being broadcast live to the whole world on YouTube. And so we got to go. We got free product. The press didn't get free product, but we did. And then it's just exciting to be part of that and see what's going on. People have had enough of brands just shouting at them. They need to hear the message from other people. And with influencer marketing, you're getting your message out through people that are trusted. Aside from influencing, I love contests. So I've had the chance to participate in a few like contests that I think would be exciting to participate in. So my friends and I participated in a contest to win a trip to the Grammys this year. You had to make a music video and whatever. And we all made videos, and our pact was like, if one of us wins, we take each other. And we ended up winning. So I got to go to the Grammys. We had great seats. We saw the whole show. We actually went to the after party at the hotel, which probably the craziest thing I've ever done. I snuck into because we couldn't get in. So I dressed up as a waiter and I snuck into the party with a tray of food that I found in our like little party that we were having. And it was flawless. I got through all the security and I was in the party and had a great time. Fun adventures have been happening this year, for sure. I actually achieved my lifelong dream, one of my lifelong dreams this year, of being on The Price is Right. I was in LA in September with one of my close friends, and she hadn't like ever watched the show in her life, which I was like, what? It's like longest running game show of all time, and you've never watched it. So we go to The Price is Right, and there's 300 people, and you just audition. Like everybody auditions. Your audition is 10 seconds long, and you have no idea if it goes well or not. And then you just wait and you watch The Price is Right, and then you sit in the auditorium and you're waiting for the show to start, and they just call names. And my name came up, and I started freaking out. Should show a clip of it. I started freaking out, like started jumping up and down, and everyone just starts high-fiving you, people that you don't even know, and then you just go up to the front and it just starts. It's like first item up for bids. It was just such a cool experience. I didn't get up on stage. I was stuck in contestants row for a while, but it was such a fun experience. And to put it like simply, one of the girls who had only been on contestants row for one round, after the show ended and she lost, she said, wow, I feel like we're all best friends now. Because everybody was just so enthusiastic, and like your hands, they hurt after you're there because you're there clapping for like an hour straight. Like it's just so much energy and so much fun. So I like in my spare time to do exciting things and try new things and like just chase my random goals that I have. What keeps me motivated and excited, I think, is innovation and change. I love seeing and trying new things. So in digital, there's always new things to try. So whether it's new social networks or new methods of targeting, let's try it and compare it versus, what we've done in the past and see if it drives better results. There's no innovation in television. So innovation, not only in media though, but also in products. So launching new products is always fun. I worked on a lot of Listerine innovation that might be coming to market in a few years, as well as looking at the future of J&J. So we recently purchased 3 companies. One of them is a light mask for light therapy that you put on your face. You buy it at Walmart, and it's the same technology used in dermatologist offices that now you can have at home. Another one, we just purchased Neostrata, which is a leader in skincare. So we'll be launching that brand. And we also purchased just a couple weeks ago Vogue International, which owns a Moroccan oil company, and it's all hair care. So new products are really exciting because they not only like raise the energy of everyone internally, it's something new and exciting, but like for consumers, you're bringing something new to the market, which is just always exciting and groundbreaking. Like, how do you market something that's brand new? That's like a really exciting challenge.